Hey, what is going on, all of you big nerds out there on the internet this evening? My name is Josh. Welcome to Bonus Stage for another one of our awesome Let's Listens. I am joined here tonight by Nicola. Nicola, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm very happy, very relieved that the album's out. I've been able to rest a bit since then, so yeah.
Absolutely. Have you gotten psyched?
Oh, I'm super psyched. Like this is something I always look forward to. So
Yeah. You've kind of made the rounds here pretty regularly on Bonus Stage. We just had you and your group Glitchkabits on another Let's Listen back in January for your release of Saved Inventory. That was very nice. You also performed back in September last year on one of our Music Onlines. So, folks, you might be familiar with Nicola, but we are here tonight to celebrate his project Balkan Bleeps and the release of his latest EP, Retrograd, as well as a couple other tracks that we're going to be tacking on for the listening party tonight as well. Yeah, so for those of you who might not know Balkan Bleeps, maybe I won't say it. Nicola, why don't you tell people a little bit about Balkan Bleeps and what it is?
sure. So I don't need to go back to the beginning of time when I started to do chip tunes in 2012, which is nowhere near the beginning of the chiptune scene. I was quite late to it. But at some point, I decided, okay, well, I like chiptunes, I like Balkan music. I like all these other weird things. Can I combine them in any sort of way? So on my previous project, I had one or two songs where I kind of made Balkan music for my Game Boy stuff, um, and I liked how it went. And I decided, okay, well, I'm going to make that my chiptune project, so that I can really focus. So that's what it is. Balkan Bleeps is Balkan music, but chiptune interpretations of it. And this album, Retrograd, is focusing even more on Starogradska muzika, which is old city music, literally means old city music, hence the name Retrograd. Gives it a little bit of a, chiptune flair there. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's the summation. Thanks, Nicola. No, right on, man. Yeah, and like Ian said, such a cool combo. So nice to see people, well, yourself specifically, like interpreting folk music and carrying them forward in in what is like now kind of an old way of creating music with those square and triangle waves, limited hardware and stuff like that. There's a lot of like I guess tradition and retro feeling that are just kind of being combined, but still bringing them forward. Oh, we've got some new people here. Welcome, ECM 1010 Atla. Hello from Boston, and Ranj is here. Yo, what's going on? Welcome. But yeah, I wanted to know specifically like what the inspiration, not the inspiration, but like where did these songs come from in your experience? Like, what was your introduction to them, and what made you want to put them together in a chiptune format for this album?
Yeah, those are all good questions. In some sense, I've been listening to Balkan music kind of all my life, but probably starting in high school, when I went over there, specifically to Sombor. My mom's old friend taught me how to play the tamburica, and actually I have it right here, this instrument here. And so this guy makes a good showing on the album, actually I think on every track. Um, and orchestras that play with just this instrument and the alto version, the bass version, etc., the full lineup. Um, that group would play Starogradska muzika. So that's my introduction to this subgenre of Balkan music. And then, of course, I just listened to a bunch of it, get CDs, listen online. Um, yeah, and why did I want to do it with chip tunes? Well, I have this instrument, and I wanted an excuse to see if I could make it work. And this is a slightly interesting story. How the hell do you make it work? It's such a different thing, right?
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like a mandolin. You pluck it very fast, and I thought, okay, Well, I'll make the Game Boy do that too. So in every song, the Game Boy's main lead lines are playing extremely fast tremolo
Mm.
and high pitched, and those instruments I passed through chorus pedals, and I recorded two tamburica lines, distinct lines for every track. So the tamburica kind of is also playing in chorus, kind of has a little bit of an ensemble feel. Um, and somehow they just blend. Like, it just sounds like the tamburica and the Game Boy tremolo are extensions of the same ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of works. Um, and we'll mention this later, but I tried that first on the single that I released last year, Sambor Summers. And that's when I decided, okay, this works. Let me make a full EP now. Not a full album. Full albums are so hard. 10 songs? 10 songs?
That's one thing I've noticed about any work that you have done, Nicola, is you like these neat little tight packages of music. You don't go for like the 80-minute prog concept album. No, that doesn't have a place in your artistic vision.
If I had the time, I would do it. But you start those projects, and then often you never release them. So doing something bite-sized that you know with the right amount of effort you can release, especially when you have a day job and you have a kid and stuff, that's how you get at least some amount of art out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, no, thank you for answering my question. I've always been curious about that. It's been, something that you've given a lot of presence in your influence and your style. I was grateful to see you up here in Vancouver for the Retro Gaming Expo last year and to see you perform some of these songs live as well. It's really cool to see you bust out all those unique instruments that I forget the name of as soon as you say them. But that's okay because I know you're going to remind me what they are called all through the night. But to your point about like the blend between these instruments, specifically the way you've approached your arrangements, both on the instrument and in the Game Boy themselves. When I was listening to this EP, I did notice that sometimes I would just kind of like lose sense of what was the live instrument and what was the Game Boy. I think you've done a really good job of blending the two and making a very cohesive sound.
To that point, we have to say that the bulk of the work there was done by the mixing engineer, Perigi. They did an amazing job. I kind of knew that it was possible, but I don't have those kinds of mixing skills. When I play it live, it has a different sound. So huge kudos to Perigi.
Absolutely. Perigi, wherever you are, good job on the mix. This album sounds incredible. Well, we don't have like a whole lot because it is a smaller release. It's just 5 tracks on the EP itself. We are going to be tacking on Somber Sommers as well as another track that you've released recently. The name is escaping. I don't know why I don't have it in front of me right now.
It's fine. We'll talk about it when it gets there.
When we get there, yes. Okay. But I think, we built up some anticipation. I would love to give folks a listen to the first 3 tracks that we have here on this album. Nicola, if you're ready for that, of course.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome, folks. Then we are going to be listening to Pico Pico Piccolina, Over There, and Autumn Leaves, not to be confused with the jazz standard, of course. But yeah, these are they. And Nicola, if you know what to say, let's...
I do know what to say now.
Say it.
Listen.
Thank you. That was beautiful. That was amazing. Yep. All right. Good. That's a wrap, folks. We're done here. No, just kidding. There was no launching point for that into conversation whatsoever. That's my bad as host. But yeah, no, that the first three tracks there are incredible. And you were telling me backstage that those are more specifically Starogradska Musica than the other two songs that are on this EP. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So Starogradska Muzika is old city music in the Balkans. Groups would play it in cities by kafana, like cafe type places, for example. And they would borrow music, obviously, from other places to play, as well as their own homegrown stuff. And those last three are all kind of pretty standard. I've heard several Starogradska Muzika groups play them, so they're, let's say, legit or authentic or whatever. Um, the first one comes from Moja Mala Nema Mane, which means my essentially girlfriend has no flaws. It's just a song about loving your girlfriend. Good stuff. The second one, Over There, was originally Tamo Daleko, which means over there far away. Tamo over there, Daleko far away. Um, and it was a World War One Serbian song about some military unit trying to get back home. So it's very like tragically sad. And I thought it was interesting that the name of the song is Over There, when in America we have a famous World War One song also called Over There, and it's about let us, us Yanks, let's go over there and fight some Europeans and win the war and be all, bombastic and macho. So very different worlds. And the third one, Autumn Leaves, actually was originally by an English composer, and that song has made its rounds in many different genres, including it's pretty popular in klezmer music too. And it's rumored to have been one of the songs that the band was playing on the Titanic as it sank. And it's a very, very beautiful song. It's kind of my favorite. Um, yeah, and then the next two songs, which we can talk about after we hear them,
Mm-hmm.
are not traditionally in the Starogradska Muzika repertoire. They're other Balkan tunes. The first one's a Montenegrin tune. The second one is more like a pan-Yugoslav tune, but done in the same style as the last three, which again is not 100% authentic Starogradska Muzika because it's chiptune, but it has the same characteristics, so we can say it's similar. I don't know. We can listen, have fun.
Absolutely. And to your point there, teaching robots to love, yeah, Nicola has actually created quite a lovely write up of each of the songs over on Bandcamp. That is the link that was provided in chat while we were cussing each other out. Yeah, definitely head on over there, folks, and get that. I was going to say on pre-order because I'm so used to us having a listening party before an album's release, but we were able to do this afterwards. So that is out now, and you should definitely go and grab it and support this album as well. I also just kind of wanted to take a moment and just enjoy this beautiful cover art that's been created. Can you tell me who is the artist responsible for this?
Yeah, so her name is Lana Wanderwood. That's her handle online. I found her on Twitter about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I was looking, oh, I got to get, the right feel for some album art, and I would commission them ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she did amazing art for this. It's based on Skadarlia, which is a district in Belgrade where there's tons of kafanas and people playing Starogradska Muzika all the time for patrons. Um, and the album art went so well, I decided to make a game out of it.
Mm.
So we can post the link later, but I made a game called Skadarlia Scramble, and it's a game where you are the character in the album art, and you're running around to different customers at different cafes and kafanas playing music for them or giving them coffee or giving them food and serving them, and you have a little happiness meter, and if it goes all the way down then you lose, and there's a timer, and your score is just how long you can keep people happy for, and it'll entertain you for about 60 seconds, because I can't make huge 5-hour quantity games, but like as a little promo game with beautiful art and with these tracks as background music, it's
Mm.
just such a neat little package. I don't know.
Well, gosh, I mean, you're not doing enough programming. Clearly, I was that kind of actually brings to mind another point that I wanted to make. That was very much apparent in Pico Pico Piccolina, which is the way that like traditionally with music that is not to a click track, that is not involving machines, like there is a very felt tempo to a lot of folk music and traditional music, where tempos can kind of like weave in and out, and you can have these accelerations and decelerations that are just kind of all put together on the spot, and how much care you've taken to programming the chip tunes to reflect that feeling as well. And that must have taken a lot of work to
It
teach a machine to do that.
Yeah, luckily LSDJ is great software. It has a command, lets you change tempo, but keeping track of which measures you did it in, and then the added complication that I'm using two Game Boys. People will write 2x LSDJ. They have to be synced. You have a primary and a secondary. The primary sends clock and stuff to the secondary, whatever. Um, so if I'm programming something on the secondary and not looking at the primary, but the primary is the one where all of the tempo commands are in, then my tempo is going to be wrong. I happen to just put the same tempo commands in both so that I knew they were in sync. But the actual process is kind of a little bit painful. Um, yeah, it took time, and my brain was fried.
Well, it was all worth it. We're so happy that your brain was fried for that purpose, Nicola.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. Link to the game can be found in the Bandcamp album description. We'll also be sharing the links to those games, and that is something that you, Nicola, do quite often for your releases as well. Is you just like to make these small little promotional games that feature the tracks that you're promoting, and that's really cool. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I know who has done anything even remotely similar to that.
It's all part of my scheme to make all Balkan folk music technically video game music so that I can play them at VGM events. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my
something
god.
like that.
You just need to get like the interactive element where they can play the game while you're playing the music in real time.
Oh, we
And
do that at chiptune events. Yes.
oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to come down to Seattle and attend one of those chiptune events and actually play the game while you're playing the music. That sounds like a real fun time. Well, moving on from Starogradska Muzika, the other two tracks on this EP, Before Dawn and From Vardar to Triglav. I don't know if my pronunciation is spot on for that, but I do my best. Yeah, do you want to preface these two tracks with anything before we dig in?
Yeah, I'll do it briefly. Before Dawn is the song that I always think of when someone says Montenegro. It's a Montenegrin folk song. Extremely sad. Uh, if you can look up the lyrics. The info's on the liner notes, let's say, on the Bandcamp.
Mhm.
And then From Vardar to Triglav is a patriotic song about Yugoslavia. Vardar is a river in Macedonia, and Triglav is a mountain range in Slovenia, so that covers the whole of the previous country. Um, and it has a funny story. Actually, you can look it up later too. I don't need to spend the whole time on it. But the very interesting thing is that the guy who composed it for some competition for, something like patriotic song, next national anthem, something like that. And he decided not to submit it because he thought it was too cheesy. And then at some point, someone played it for Tito, and Tito loved it, and all of a sudden, everyone had to love it. So it's very cheesy. It's very good.
Oh man, the reluctant winner of that. That's awesome. All right, well then, yeah, let's get into it, folks. These are the last two tracks on Retrograd. We will have a couple more tracks to listen to afterwards, but this is Before Dawn and From Vardar to Triglav. Let's.
Unmute the mic and then listen.
Yeah, good plan. Mm, ah, delicious, amazing, tantalizing, even. Um, Before Dawn, yes, absolutely, very sad. Sounds like a super tragic song. And contrasted greatly by From Vardar to Triglav, because that did sound very cheesy and catchy, and I can understand why it was an instant favorite by everybody.
By everybody, the whole world over.
Yeah.
Yes, there's definitely no differing views in the Balkans. Um,
No dissenting opinions. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, you didn't want to give away too much before listening, but now post listening, yeah, tell us a little bit more about these songs.
let's see. What do I want to say? Let's see. Before Dawn is really interesting. The actual song, like the actual notes, it's like 2 lines. It's maybe 8 to 10 seconds long, and somehow I got something over 4 minutes. I hope it didn't bore anyone to go on that long. I feel like it has enough variation. Instruments come in and out. I really like that. Um, and it's the only track where I snuck in a little guest appearance of the Balama saws. There's one section that has some, melodic solo-y bits that goes back into the main melody where the saws comes in, plays really nice line, gets out. Um, and then from Vardar to Triglav, what's interesting about that one is it's in 7/8, which some people would say is an odd time signature in the Balkans. It's super standard and normal. But in LSDJ, you have to accomplish that by using hop commands. So you change your 16 ticks into 14 ticks. Um, and what's interesting that I'll do eventually, but haven't yet, is when you go over 16 ticks, if you were to have a time signature that's like 9/8 or 11/13, sorry, 11/8 or 13/8, now what will you do? Um, I think I know exactly what I would do. I'm going to try that on a future release. So we'll see. Anyways, that would be me geeking out about those songs.
Awesome. Yeah, very beautiful. And you were saying backstage that in Before Dawn, you actually incorporated four live instruments as well. This is a good chance if you want to geek out about your folk instruments.
Oh yeah, so well, one I already introduced to this guy I have
Yeah.
with me. I'm trying this, by the way. This is an interesting way to get a, it's a pickup, and it actually works really well. But this is my tamburica. I recorded 2 tracks of tamburica for each one of these songs, so that's two. Um, then over there somewhere is the electric violin that I used. And then on Before Dawn was also the saws, so that's four. And and now my kid is calling.
Yes, we hear that. Absolutely. Yeah, take a moment. Folks, yeah, so that was in completion. Or sorry, no, actually, in fact, that was only half of the Retrograd release, but that is all that we are going to be listening to on the show tonight. I'm going to drop the Bandcamp link into chat once more, just so it's fresh there for you. But one thing that Nicola does for a lot of his Balkan Bleep releases is he not only releases his songs with acoustic instruments, he also releases them with a DMG mix. So you're effectively getting twice the album there, and that is just pure Game Boy sounds and nothing else. And we were talking a little bit about how that changes like the sound quite drastically, and how that kind of creates a lot of extra work for Nicola because when he's creating these releases, he has to make a mix for the EP or album. He has to make his DMG release mix as well as a third option for when he is live. Yeah, Nicola, that's quite a lot of work. It makes sense why you would have such small, tight little packages instead of working on more than 6 tracks. It effectively triples your workload.
Yeah, or at least it makes it such that I need to understand my pieces well enough that I know they'll work in all those contexts. So the nice thing about it is if I can have the piece work with multiple live instruments for a full mix, that means that live I can bring a couple different instruments, and if one of them breaks, I can just go to another one.
Very
And
convenient.
that has happened before.
Sweet.
So, I mean, just like a string breaks and I don't want to bother changing it, so just
Right.
switch to a different.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be devastating if one of your, really nice, expensive instruments just randomly snapped while you were performing it. My God. Well, all right, that's it. I'm just going to turn on the DMG mix. It's all Game Boy. This is a chiptune show,
It's
folks.
a
Let's
chiptune show.
go.
You press start and you walk off stage. That's all you need to do. Grab a
Wow.
beer, a head bob. It's
That's not really what a chiptune show is now, is it? Oh my God.
it's a meme. It's a meme.
It's a meme. It's memeable. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but in its entirety, that is Retrograd, an amazing little EP. And now we are going to be moving on to another release that has come out previously called Sambar Summers. Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about this song?
Yeah, so the reason I wanted to tack it on is this is the precursor to Retrograd, right? I mentioned earlier Sambor Summers is a song about Sambor. It is a Starogradska muzika song that is traditionally played on tamburica and whatnot. And for that single, I tried this sound out for the first time, and I liked it and decided let's make the EP. So, yeah, let's hear the prequel.
All right, folks, this is Somber Summers. Let's.
Unmute the mic and listen. I'll get it right the last time.
Sure, you will. That's amazing, dude. Absolutely awesome. And folks, actually, there is a game that will definitely make you feel like you got to move your feet, called Sambar Sprint, and I'm going to post a link in chat right there, over at vacuumbrewstudios.itch.io/Sombor Sprint. And I think I've played this game before. Can you refresh my memory and tell everybody a little bit about what the game is itself?
So it's an infinite runner. Again, it should hold your interest for about 30 to 60 seconds, and probably no more. But you play as a bear for whatever reason, funny bear in a traditional costume, and you run through the streets of Sombor, and it's actually based on a panorama that you can make in like the city square. So the buildings are quite accurate. The artist did a really good job there. And the goal is to collect licitars, which are these little kind of cookies, usually heart-shaped, that they make in Vojvodina and Croatia, and some surrounding areas. Um, cool. And your main obstacle are Yugos, which are famously the worst car ever created. Um, and the Yugos actually show up in Cars 2. One of the lemons is a Yugo. They call him Hugo because they don't want to, mess with real car names. But yeah, Yugos, terrible cars. You don't want to hit them. But if you collect the Opanci power-up, Opanci is a type of Serbian traditional shoe, then as long as you're wearing it, you can kick the Yugos out of the way. They're that cheap, they're made out of plastic. You can kick them out of the way as long as you're wearing Opanci. And to be extra spicy, you can also get a Fez power-up. If you have the Fez power-up, that enables you to do a double jump because your castle will move around like a helicopter. It's a horrible game.
I'm actually here. I've got it on screen now, and just playing through it a little bit. Oh my god, that's so funny. I don't know why I don't hear the music, but maybe it's just
Yeah, or
Oh,
you
no.
just click a button or something.
actually, I think the audience can hear it just fine.
Oh, cool.
Maybe they can't hear me talking over it. Oh, there we go. I just kicked a car. Oh, that's great. Okay. There we go. Bam. Wow. That's great. Okay. We'll put that away for now. That's a lot of fun. It held my attention for about 30 to 60 seconds.
That's the name of the game.
No, the name of the game is Sombor Sprint. Oh, man.
Yes, right.
That's really endearing. Well, I think I've seen you perform that one, not only online on Bonus Stage, but also up here at the Retro Gaming Expo. But we have one more song to listen to tonight, and that is Mostar Mix Up. And there is a game out for this one as well. Is
No,
there
there
not?
isn't.
No, that's the part where I keep messing up.
So the person who made the album art for Mostar Mix Up also did the art for Sombor Sprint.
There's the
So
connection.
that's where the connection is there. But what's I want to show about Mostar Mix Up is in the same way that Sombor Summers is kind of a prequel to Retrograd, testing the waters, seeing what I can do with Starogradska Muzika. Mostar Mix Up is that for Sevdalinka music, which is a type of music from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So I think that I did an okay job, and I would like to take that concept and make an EP out of it. So that's something to look forward to in the future.
Yeah. So Somber Summers was the prequel to Retrograd, and Mostar Mix Up will be the prequel to whatever's coming next. Who knows? It's Hush. But you know what's not Hush is this next track. So we are going to let's.
Listen.
He did it.
Yes, but you made the grammatical mistake. We are going to let's listen. Isn't anyways.
It was on me this time. Okay, folks, here we go. That's amazing. That's just beautiful. Most
Have
our
fun.
mix up. Did we get into the cause, the reason for this song a little bit? I feel like we
For this
glossed
song,
over it.
we mentioned that it's me trying to do Sevdalinka music, and if it works, and I think it kind of does, I'll do more like it for an EP. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The proof was in the pudding there for sure. I think that's a solid mix. Absolutely. Love those melodies, like those long melodies that kind of like have like a not like a repeated pattern, but more of like a repeated motion on down a
Hmm.
scale and stuff like that. It's a very nice sound, and again blended well with the Game Boy and the traditional instruments as well. Yeah, that's most our mix up. That one is available also on Bandcamp. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing. You probably noticed it the whole show. I didn't bring it up, but I'm wearing my Balkan Bleeps shirt tonight. Um, and if you want to show your support for Balkan Bleeps, definitely head on over to the Bandcamp. And oh yes, you did notice teaching robots to love. I saw your comment earlier, which I neglected to reply to. But yeah, folks, go on over to balkanbleeps.bandcamp.com and get any and or all of Nicola's awesome work here. Um, yeah, that is all of the music that we have to listen to tonight. Of course, if you want to double up on your listening experience, you can also listen to the DMG mixes that Nicola's provided, and if you want to even further expand on your listening experience, maybe you'll be able to catch him during a live performance. Because that is a different mix, also. Speaking of live performances, Nicola, do you want to speak, or should I speak to your next upcoming live performance?
I think officially you should, right?
Oh, officially,
You're,
I should. Yes, of course.
yeah.
Yeah. So, bonus stage is going to be at VGM Con next month. We are going to be hosting the Warp stage once again, as we did last year, which was a online stage, and we also had on-site interviews. But they just kind of like had us up in this dank little projector room, and like they mean well, they meant well. They had all the tech that we needed there, and that was great. But this year they're actually giving us a nice conference room to host everything in, so people will be able to actually sit and enjoy the interviews as well as watch the streams. And one of our featured artists is going to be Balkan Bleeps. So you are not going to be at VGM Con, if I understand correctly, but you will be at home and you will be streaming live to the Warp stage, so we'll be able to see you at the con. And folks, if you are not at VGM Con, you will be able to see him online. That is going to be hosted on the VGM Con Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/VGMCon. Couldn't be more obvious. But yeah, that is, from what I understand, going to be your next live performance.
Yep, that's the plan. And then there might be one or two in the summer, and who knows what happens past 4 months? Nobody anymore.
Nobody knows. It's all up in the air. Oh my god. Well, definitely apply to Mag West, because I think you'd be great for that. Um, yeah, and I don't know. Is there anything else that you would like to mention, either about any of the music that we've listened to tonight, or about any other upcoming things that you're looking forward to with your projects?
Um, Let me think. I guess there's one tangentially related thing. Some of these games I'm gonna be displaying at an event this month called POW, which is like a after party thing for GDC that they do at DNA Lounge. There's gonna be lots of awesome music there too. Um, but I'm going to show some of these games, and probably I mean, I'll definitely have Scudalia Scramble there. I might have Sombor Sprint, and then two other games. I'm gonna have four games. I have to figure out exactly which ones I'm gonna do. Anyways, that's
Oh
the
yeah,
last thing
you're
that
gonna
I
be.
can. What?
That's the one. There's gonna be Metroid Metal there. Watch out for Snakes, Bit Shifter, Crash Faster, Lacey Johnson, Glorified, Magnified, Gribbly, and TVMA. So you're going to be part of that party, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I love POW. I try to go there every year. I haven't since COVID times, but
Naturally, yeah. I had hoped to go to GDC this year, in which case I would have seen you there for sure. But I do have some friends who will be down there as well, so I'll definitely tell them to go and check you out. And folks, if you are going to be at GDC yourself, definitely go hit up POW. That is a legendary after party for the GDC convention down there. Highly recommend it. And yeah, cool. All good.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
No, thank you, Nicola. Always a treat to have you on the show here and talk about your music and your influences and your amazing instruments. Yeah, it's always a good time. So thank you very much, and thank you to all of you who have tuned in and shared your support and your love here tonight. In terms of what's coming up for bonus stage, of course, on Saturday we are going to be having our first music online concert for 2024. I don't know how I missed February; it just kind of blew past me, but we're going to make up for it. We've got a guitar-focused music online concert. We're going to be featuring Amanda Lepre. We've got Lorenzo de Sequeira, who's from Toronto. We've got Shane Stewart from Vancouver. Actually, some decent Canadian representation on this one. Ro Panaganti, T-Bonev, and Mega Beardo all playing guitar. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about that instrument and what it means to be a VGM player with a guitar in your hands. Yeah, and then also next week we are going to be making up for the postponed listening party for Console, the VGM band. They are releasing, or they have released now, their debut album, Press Start. So I can't wait to talk to them about that. But that is, as we've been doing all this year, is just Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Let's listen. So hope to see you back there for that as well. And of course, our next big event will be the VGM Con Warp Stage. So stay tuned for everything to do with that. And otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.